any image challenging the premier is unwelcome.
If you think that that happened on public grounds, what happened to you, it was certainly in violation of law. Your civil rights were violated, and the Italian constitution was violated.
Berlusconi's government is also working this summer to rewrite the country's media laws. Last year, the Constitutional Court ruled that Berlusconi controlled too much of the television market. The existing laws preclude any individual from controlling more than 20% of national broadcasting.
The Constitutional Court has ruled at least 20 times to reach one simple conclusion, that the current situation is in violation of constitutional guarantees of pluralism in this country. They ask the government to take steps. These steps include putting one of Mr. Berlusconi's channels on satellite, and the government keeps asking for more time. The last Constitutional Court ruling in November last year was quite clear. It said, you've run out of time.
Berlusconi's solution is to have the laws rewritten.
Berlusconi used to have laws written for him by the Prime Minister. Now he is the Prime Minister, so it's even more effective.
Senator Tana Zulueta believes that censorship is not the only factor in Berlusconi's attack on the RAI. 2 years ago, Fiat, Italy's largest automaker, cut $5 million in advertising from RAI, while increasing its advertising on Mediaset by $4 million. And last year, RAI's advertising revenues dropped by 14%, while Mediaset lost less than 1%.
Every minute that public television, which he controls, is losing viewers, he's actually getting richer. So he has this wonderful instrument in which he shuts up the opposition, makes public television horribly boring, and so he's achieved two results. He's got richer because his private television is cashing in on it, and he's silenced the opposition.
Sicuramente da quando lui è Presidente del Consiglio, stranamente la RAI ha avuto una grossa flessione negli ascolti e, se vogliamo mettere di nuovo tra virgolette, un altrettanto stranamente, Mediaset ha visto i suoi titoli volare in borsa e non ha mai fatto una raccolta pubblicitaria così grande, così importante, così ricca.
La RAI fino a 2 anni fa era in testa negli ascolti rispetto a Mediaset. L'anno scorso per la prima volta ha cominciato a perdere la supremazia nel prime time. Quest'anno il divario a favore di Mediaset sta crescendo ogni mese di più. Questo è un fatto. Anche coloro che simpatizzano per Berlusconi ne devono prendere atto. Un'emergenza che è relativa al pluralismo del Paese, al pluralismo della comunicazione del Paese e che è relativa anche alla tenuta industriale della RAI. Ma guardate che adesso cominciano a essere in pericolo i posti di lavoro e questo ai colleghi dobbiamo spiegarlo. Perché una RAI che abbia perso, come la RAI sta purtroppo perdendo il primato negli ascolti, e che abbia per di più questa immagine così sbiadita dal punto di vista dei contenuti editoriali, ma perché dovrebbe continuare ad essere finanziata con 3 reti TV e 3 reti radio?
Berlusconi's reach in the Italian media is so extensive that even his toughest critics find themselves dependent on him. This summer, Professor Paul Ginsborg's latest book, Berlusconi, was published by Einaudi, which is owned by Mondadori, which is controlled by Fininvest, Berlusconi's media holding company.
Now we're going to the Mondadori bookshop to see how my book's going. If it's selling well, if it's not selling at all, if it's prominently displayed, if they're hiding it away. It analyzes the way in which he's just one of a number of media barons who are using their great financial resources to storm the public democratic sphere. And it's trying to warn people against the dangers of that process and to ask what sort of antibodies do our democracies have. My book on Silvio Berlusconi, to call it a book is a bit too much, it's just a little pamphlet. It was a good test case because here we are. Was he going to try and censor that, or was he going to let me say what I wanted to say? Substantially I've said what I wanted to say. Of course this, even if it's printed in 10, 20, 30,000 copies, is going to readers who anyway politically are of a certain type. If we were going to talk about mass television audiences, Mr. Berlusconi might be much less liberal.
Marco Travaglio is spending another long day at the SME corruption trial in Milan, which has been dragging on for the last 3 years. Despite being sued for $50 million, he's writing another book about the premier's corruption trial. The manuscript is due in a month.
Sono stremato, non riesco più a vivere, ho troppe cose e veramente non ne posso più. Adesso stiamo imboccando l'autostrada, c'è una fila. È una cosa da mettersi a piangere. Grazie a te, ciao. Se dico delle parolacce o delle bestemmie, tagliatele.
The whole trial is now in doubt because Parliament is on the brink of passing a special law to grant Berlusconi immunity. This law will effectively suspend the trial until Berlusconi leaves public office, making it likely that no verdict will ever be reached.
Berlusconi sapeva benissimo quando si è candidato nel 2001 alla Presidenza del Consiglio che durante la sua Presidenza del Consiglio, nel caso in cui fosse eletto, sarebbe arrivata una sentenza. E quindi ha deciso di buttare questo suo problema personale sulle spalle dei cittadini. E oggi ha fatto approvare una legge sull'impunità sua personale, perché è una legge che riguarda lui e basta, con la scusa che altrimenti una sua eventuale condanna avrebbe danneggiato il paese.
In Rome, the Italian Senate is debating the immunity bill.
Parliament has been practically hijacked. We're talking about a media law cut to measure for Mr. Berlusconi. Now I'm going into plenary and we're going to have to face up to a request for overall immunity, not just for parliamentarians, but for high officers. And after that, we're going to be talking about conflict of interest with another law made to measure for Mr. Berlusconi that would eliminate the concept of conflict and leave his interests untouched. That's what Parliament is about these days, looking after Berlusconi. Up till now, the things that Mr. Berlusconi really cares about have passed, and pretty quick too. Yeah, I think it'll pass. I'd like to think that there's a limit and that public opinion will rebel. But he's got numbers on his side and his coalition have been loyal on these votes up till now.
The immunity bill passes in the Senate. Now, if the bill passes in Parliament's lower house, it will become law, and Berlusconi's legal problems will be frozen. Today, after 3 years of hearings, Berlusconi will make his second appearance in court at the SME trial. In Italy, a defendant has the right to make a spontaneous declaration. Defendants are not obliged to answer the prosecution's questions, and the statement is not given under oath, so he is not liable if what he says is not true. Berlusconi's lawyers are members of Parliament from his party. Niccolo Ghedini sits on the Justice Committee, and Gaetano Pecorella is its chairman. Tomorrow they will be in Rome voting in Parliament on the proposed immunity bill, which they hope will halt the trial against their client.
Signori, buongiorno, cominciamo l'udienza e chiamiamo il procedimento a carico di Berlusconi Silvio, presente. Allora, il Presidente ha messo alle dichiarazioni spontanee con l'avvertenza che devono essere esaurite in questa sede, come sicuramente legale.
Marco Travaglio is in court, where the Prime Minister is making his spontaneous declaration.
Buongiorno, e sono qui appunto per continuare quelle dichiarazioni che avevo già iniziato l'altra volta. La giustizia è uguale per tutti i cittadini, ma questo cittadino è forse un po' più uguale degli altri, visto che il 50% degli italiani gli ha conferito la responsabilità di governare il Paese. Mi domando come si possono portare avanti dei procedimenti in questo modo, anche esponendo chi entra nel procedimento a delle immagini negative che diventano quintali, tonnellate di fango che per 7 anni gli vengono scaricati addosso dai giornali, dalle televisioni, in Italia, all'estero, quando anche questo qualcuno ha una responsabilità politica molto